I've definitely done my fair share of runs up and down the Matomi Wash, mostly in four-wheeled vehicles, racing a Class 5 1600. That's a Baja Bug, down here in the San Felipe 250 and the Peninsula Run Baja 1000s. I've picked my way through that rock garden, I've bounced off of boulders, and I've had some two-wheel vehicles up through there too. Today I want to take you across the rugged crossover track that takes you from the Azufre Wash, which translates to sulfur in Spanish, all the way to Matomi, which is part of Ejido Matomi, almost all the way down to Puertecitos. This wash has a lot of kind of mystique and lore to it. It's a famous landmark that you find in most of the San Felipe 250 Baja races. Sometimes the Baja 1000 runs through there, and it's known as the Narrows. It's kind of Baja's Grand Canyon on a miniature scale, but it has a really epic rock garden that offers some mild to challenging rock crawling, whether you're on four-wheel vehicles or two-wheel vehicles. But let's check it out. It's a rugged ride, it's a good half-day ride, and something you need to be prepared to embark on. You don't want to go into this one half-cocked, so be prepared. So this crossroads is somewhat pivotal here in Baja North. This is the split between the Azufre Wash and the cross-country route, which will take you to the Matomi Wash by way of the chute. Now the chute is a steep U-turn, downhill, sandy slide, if you will, that drops you midway in the Matomi Wash between Mexican Highway 5 and the Narrows up in the hills. We're out here in the saguaro forests now, making the cross-country traverse to the midpoint of the Matomi. A lot of really deep, sharp whoops out here, and these amazing cardone cacti. It's a hot day, so let's keep plugging away. What have we just come across here in the desert? We are in the middle of nowhere. A tribute A graveyard? A pet cemetery? Hard to say. Interesting nonetheless. One of the amazing things out here in the Mexican desert. Let's move on, leave them to be. Stop to take a little break here. This used to be a pretty popular race spectating spot for the San Felipe 250, Baja 1000 when it comes through this crossover road. It's a good spot for a little water break. It's hot out here and I've been working in these whoops. I'm also going to take this opportunity to pop open my inReach device, my Garmin GPS, and I'm just going to send a free check-in message. Let everybody know where I am and that I'm just fine and things are going good here. All right. IR messages, send check-in. I'm checking in, everything is okay. Send message. Boom. Let that talk to the satellites for a little bit. Now let's have a look around. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. Just traversed the amazing cactus forest right here. Off to my right, glimmers of the Sea of Cortez. Off in the distance, a lot of sharp whoops through here. We're kind of going against the grain, as I think the last event that came through here was the San Felipe 250 just about 2 or 3 months ago. And I'm seeing the backside of those SCORE International signs saying I'm going the wrong way. But that's just for race. I'll pack things up here and we'll hit the road again. By this point in my day trip journey, everything was par for the course. I knew what I was in for in terms of these pointy whoops, rocks and sand, but things were about to get a little more tricky and choppy. As I left this hillock mound known for being a checkpoint stop in the San Felipe 250, I rounded the bend up out of the sand onto the hard pack crossover road. It was at that point that the terrain really took a turn for the worst. The San Felipe 250 that had been through just 2 or 3 months prior resulted in some incredibly unearthed, sharp, jagged rocks protruding into the deep ruts of the hard-packed dirt. I rode down for several miles, narrowly escaping a few offs from the bike. At this point, I started to rethink my options. Nobody likes to call it quits on an adventure. Nobody wants to pull the plug, pull the ripcord, and cut their losses. But what's worse is railroading yourself into a potentially tight spot or a bad situation. This terrain is not indicative of how bad it had gotten, and I was starting to question my fuel range, my daylight hours remaining. Was this going to be too high of a risk for a solo journey? And I decided to turn around. And that leads us to a broader conversation. When should you call it quits and turn around when you're solo adventuring? Chopped up out here. Let's talk a little bit about when to call it quits when you're out riding solo. Things don't always go to plan, and adaptability can be an important trait in adventure riding and adventuring in general. I set out today to take you guys to the Matomi Wash, look at some scenic, amazing rock canyon formations, but I got in a little over my head today. Not saying we can't do it another time, but we're fresh off of the San Felipe 250, and that course is a mess. So let's take a little breather here. Sometimes it's a good idea to call it quits before you get in over your head. That could be a weather front rolls in, your bike is starting to give you some pause, your body's letting you down, you're out of water, you're leaking fuel, you've had one too many mechanicals along the way, you're on plan C out of A, B, C, D. Maybe it's time to reel it in a little bit. While our hopes for a two-wheel expedition to the Matomi might be dashed for now, we've got other means and revisited that adventure just a couple days later. Hey everybody, this is Recce Routes out here on this dry salt lake bed with the 4-seat pre-runner. I know we usually talk about ADV bikes or dirt bikes, especially out here in Baja, but check out this 4-seat car. Sometimes we like to scout those routes, go to those unknown places, and find those discoveries on 4 wheels as much as 2. Come with us for a ride.